My 53-year-old mom is having a baby. Hey everyone, welcome back to Childfree for Life. Don't forget to subscribe to be a for-lifer. That woman, who kicked me out because I had an abortion, is having another baby. She doesn't even have a uterus, and my dumb sister is her surrogate. I threw up when I heard the news. I'm freaking disgusted. I'm so freaking glad that I don't talk to them. Edit, they're using my dad's swimmers and my mom's egg. In this type of surrogacy, the surrogate is just an incubator for the baby. My sister is mad enough to go through with things like this, but I never thought she stooped this low. She's fighting for my mother's validation and is trying to replace me. My mom was friends with a guy who had a daughter who got married and had a child around the same time as her dad remarried and had another child himself, so his son and his grandson are the same age. I thought that was messed up. This poor child is going to be the child of a woman who is technically kinda his grandma, born to someone who is technically their sister. I'm speechless. That's so messed up and unethical. So is that even legal? Even if it wasn't as toxic, I had a classmate tell me how much he hated his adopted parents for being so old when they got him. We were in middle school and he straight up presented everyone assuming they were his grandparents, and I don't know if either one of them made it to graduation. Edit to add, to anyone thinking this kid was ungrateful, we don't know anything else about his home life. Maybe they were wonderful and didn't deserve preteen angst, and maybe there were other struggles he didn't share with some random classmate. My father was in his early 50s when I was born. Growing up, everyone thought he was my grandfather. His mental and physical health were declining before I even graduated high school. To add an extra layer of weirdness, he married a woman in his late teens or early 20s and had 4 children. So he has children who are 30 years my senior, who have their own children who are older than I am, and a few who are around my own age. It's freaking bizarre. I'm so upset for my friend's kids and frustrated at him. He just won't stop breeding. He has 3 elementary-aged kids, like from age 9 to 5, I think, a 1-year-old, and his girlfriend is pregnant again because they kept going at it when she was switching birth controls. He's 54. He'll be dead in 10 or so years because of issues, and his 19-year-old girlfriend will suddenly be dumped with 5 kids, all in high school or less pretty much. No job experience, no life experience, no assets, no nothing. I always feel weird about the parental age thing because my mom died when I was 16, but she was only 46. She was diagnosed with a form of leukemia when she was only 32. Yet we have relatives on the swimmer's donor side who lived into their 90s. So I don't know. Being a youngish parent doesn't necessarily mean you'll be around for your kid any longer. My mom was 45, my dad was 62 when they had me. From 4 to 13, I used to lie and say they weren't my real parents because other kids were so cruel. My mom already had 5 kids and that was planned. It was so unnecessary. They were so stupid. Both were healthy and my dad was very fit for his age when I was born. He was still running, but he developed dementia when I was starting high school. My mom had a teenager to raise and my dad to look after. I resented myself because I felt like such a burden. I stopped going out, stopped asking for things, and just shut myself away for years. I used to defend them, but now I don't. I'm no longer embarrassed about how old my parents are. People get shocked when I tell them at 27, my dad would be nearly 90. I'm just honest with people now and say how stupid they were to have me. My parents had me pretty late in life, and I remember feeling a little weird attending my mom's 50th birthday party when I was in elementary school, because my friends' moms were mostly late 30s and whispering about being afraid of the big 4-0. After I graduated from grad school, I remember my classmate who is several years older than me posting on Instagram with big 5-0 balloons for her mom's 50th birthday. It felt strange that her mom is over 15 years younger than mine, but she's older than me. Lucky you didn't grow up where I did. Most mothers are scared of the age 30. Their kids are in college or university if they haven't started having babies of their own by the time mother dare isn't even 40. Even where I live now, I overheard a woman talking about Timmy coming home from university and thinking, what the frick? The woman couldn't possibly be over 38. How can she have a child so old? Oh wait, never mind. She probably started having babies by 19. I have a friend who is younger than several of her nieces and nephews. She was the oops baby, several years after they were done having babies. Her closest sibling in age is 7 years older, and the oldest sibling is nearly 20 years older. Things got really wonky when the oldest and youngest brothers had babies at the same time. The youngest was 15, and the oldest was about 30. Dang, that's insane. No offense, but is her whole family pro-life? Her oldest sibling is 20 years older than her, and yet she is younger than several of her nieces and nephews. Not to mention the youngest brother had a baby at 15, and her parents chose to keep her as well. And there seems to be huge gaps between the older siblings too. I'm not saying they shouldn't have, just curious. They were, and are, very, very Catholic. So pretty much, yes, lol. When her brothers had kids at the same time, we were barely 8 years old. It was the youngest brother's first child and the oldest brother's third, maybe? All of her siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, have at least 2 kids each. And if I'm not mistaken, the brothers have 4 to 6 each. It's a lot. My friend is child-free for the reverse reason many of us are. Rather than being the sibling handling childcare, she was the sibling being raised by other siblings. When she got older, she was expected to help raise her younger nieces and nephews without complaint. Because that's just payback, I guess. I'm the younger sibling who was raised by older siblings, and now they have kids I'm expected to help with as karma or payback. Exactly. Screw you for being a child and needing support while, being a child, you owe us big. My poor friend even had to help raise her cousins because of the age gap. It wasn't fair to her siblings to have to raise her either, but at least they were mostly adults when she was born. Friend was babysitting after school almost every day from 6th grade on. Regarding mom raising kid at 53, that's if she lives to 70. I can't even imagine the mental gymnastics one must do to get to a point where they think it's okay to bring an innocent child into this world, knowing they could pass before the child was grown. I get there are no guarantees in life, and anyone of any age can die of many things, but still, no one 50 plus should be this naive. It's cruel to the child. Not to mention, dealing with an aging parent when you're that young is pretty traumatizing. Seeing your parents go through the problems of aging, arthritis, dementia, incontinence, etc., while you're a teenager is gonna be so tough. Like, I'm almost 30 and I'm still not ready for my parents to pass. Might be a bit still, but I'm already dealing with my current grandparents maybe passing away in a few years, and that already sounds difficult to wrap my head around. I don't want to think about funeral arrangements and divvying up an estate anytime soon. Wow, I'm 41 and everyone's dead. My grandparents, my parents, his grandparents, my mother-in-law. The only parent left is my husband's dad. We spoil him as much as possible and listen intently when he describes his medical issues. My husband and I just recently both became financially independent enough to spoil our remaining parent as much as we can. So we do. I will never understand this from older people, especially if they already have kids. She's going to be 63 when the kid is 10 years old. Does she seriously think she can go out to the park and run around with a little kid? Keep up with their energy level? She'll be 70 when the kid is 18. And that's even assuming she lives that long. I'm a few years younger than her, and I had congestive heart failure 2 years ago. My grandfather died of a heart attack at 43. My other grandparents died between ages 65 and 70. People talk about us being selfish for not wanting to have kids in the first place. True selfishness is having a child that late in your life where there's a good chance you might not live to see them graduate high school. Plus stealing the kid's chance for a normal childhood because your knees hurt or your back hurts and you can't throw around a baseball or sit in the little chair to play house, and then they sit there and vegetate in front of the TV all day because you're too tired or too busy to deal with them. Jesus tap dancing Christ.